Ring, ring, ring. Hello? Hey, Zach. We have the DB11 in Vancouver for a day. Do you want to take it for a drive? Absolutely. Yeah, the local Aston Martin dealership here in Vancouver phoned and said, you want to take the DB11 for a quick test drive. So here we are on what has got to be one of the wettest days we've had so far. But this car looks hot. Let's warm things up by taking it for a drive. So what's your name?
Terence Jenkins.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure
And you're
to
with
meet you
Aston
too.
Martin. What do you do with Aston Martin?
So I basically work on all of Aston Martin's North American marketing programs. That could be anything from Vantage programs all the way up to Vulcan.
Okay. So what are we sitting in?
We're sitting in the brand new Aston Martin DB11.
Now this isn't even a production car. This is an early production sort of prototype, isn't it?
It is. So this car was actually flown into North America by FedEx, believe it or not. So this is right after we
Just to type out a regular way bill.
Exactly. FedEx the car to America. So we used this car for some press events and some training in the UK. And then we decided to bring the car to North America and bring it to the dealerships to give some potential clients that were sitting on the fence.
I'm not one of them.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't have the change for this.
We do take credit cards or cash or check or PayPal. Yeah, give them an opportunity to get behind the wheel because it's basically you're going to place an order and there's an allocation and there's usually about a 6-month wait.
Now the car that everybody saw in the Bond movie was the DB10, which was not a real car, right? It was just made for the movie?
It was. So they had a contract with the production company, Eon Productions, to make a car exclusively for James Bond. And that's what they did. We produced, I believe it was 10 cars. I think there was like 7 that were used in various stages of build for the filming purposes. A couple of cars were completely kitted out interior for the interior shots. And then there was 2 that were kept. Aston sold 1. I think it went for £3 million, and then that £3 million went to a charity at the buyer's choice.
Right.
And I think Sony Pictures has 1, and we.
So these are collectible, sort of unique. But they were built on this platform or the old DB9 platform?
No, they're actually built on the Vantage platform.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is a smaller platform. And interesting enough, what's going to happen is, for those people like that DB10 car, our new Vantage is going to share some similar lines and cues from DB10.
So the DB11, it looks bigger to me. Is it bigger?
It is a little bit bigger than DB9, yes. Okay. We increased the track width, we increased the wheelbase, so interior space is grown quite a bit, yes.
All right, now what's the meal under the hood?
We have a 5.2 litre twin turbocharged with 2 scrolls in each turbocharged engine. It's a V12.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's...
Can we start it?
Quite the beast. I've been waiting for you to start.
All right, how do I do that? What's the ignition sequence?
Call Q first, make sure it's okay to leave. So foot's on the brake, and then you're just going to touch.
Hit the middle button.
That's it.
We got to get the defroster going here. This is the rainiest day I think we've had so far this year. You showed up on the perfect day to bring the English weather with you.
Brought an English car and some English weather.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so now what?
So now we have, obviously everything's activating right now. This is probably a little bit of James Bond music.
Okay, yeah. Is that on every car when you start it, the James Bond starts?
I think it should.
Goldfinger.
It should, exactly.
Now, one of the problems with the older cars was the dated in-dash tech, right? So this is obviously a big step forward.
Huge step forward. So the way we were able to overcome that, but let me back up in 1 second. So Aston Martin produces probably some of the lowest volume cars in the world. I know Ferrari owners and Lamborghini owners complain to be an exclusive car, but the reality is we produce probably half of what they sell.
Right.
So we do about 4,000 cars a year. For Aston Martin to develop its new electronic architecture and all that kind of stuff becomes very cost prohibitive. So Aston partnered up with Mercedes, Daimler.
What do they get out of it?
5% ownership of the company.
Okay.
In exchange to Aston having access to all their electronic infrastructure.
So when the Jaguar side went to Tata, Aston Martin became owned by whom?
Independent.
It's independent now.
So Aston Martin took all the ownership back from Jaguar.
And 5% goes to Daimler.
5% goes to Daimler, yes, exactly.
Okay. These cars have the transmission in the back, right?
The transaxle, correct.
Right. That's kind of race car stuff.
It is race car. So yeah, we actually have an 8-speed automatic gearbox on the back axle.
And who makes that? Is that your own
in-house?
It's a ZF box, okay.
Right. Personally, probably the best automatic in the industry right now.
Yeah.
And then
is that sort of the same stuff you get with BMW and what have you with their 8-speed boxes?
Bentley uses it, Rolls-Royce uses it. It's very light, it's very efficient, but more importantly for us, it's compact.
Okay.
It actually fits on the back axle, unlike a lot of other transmissions we looked at.
So that gives you a better weight distribution because you've got a V12 up front, and then you put the tranny in the back.
I'm glad you brought out that point because that's one of the interesting things about Aston Martin. We moved the front wheels forward almost 3 inches So we actually have a front mid engine. 12 cylinders is a front mid. With the gearbox in the back, that gives us about 70% or more of our vehicle's mass situated in the middle of the car. You're not going to really notice on day-to-day driving through city traffic, but if you do start pushing the car and you're getting to the limits of the tire's traction capabilities,
Like now, yeah.
that's where it makes a difference. It's called good behavior.
So with an allocation of 4,000 cars overall for the company?
Well, that's what we did last year. It's
Right.
about 4,000 cars. It's not a profitable company at that amount.
Right.
So Aston's been around about 102 years. I think the company's made a profit, I heard, maybe 3 years in that history.
So how do you keep your doors open? Tesla needs to listen to this because they're a company that makes no money either.
Right.
So how do you keep the doors open when you make no money?
We've gone through bankruptcy numerous times.
Right.
Let's
And
put
then
it
you
that
have
way.
companies like Ford and come in and buy.
That put money back into the company and develop it. At the end of the day, I think what it is, a lot of people love the brand and they want to see us do well. So we've been fortunate to have, investors that put money in the company, build the brand, and with the hopes that one day it's going to be profitable. And the goal with the new CEO of the company, Andy Palmer, his goal is to make the company profitable.
Okay, back to Daimler for a moment. They got 5% ownership. They're going to want something. There's got to be some sharing going on. Like, what do they get out of this?
I don't know.
You don't know yet?
Don't know yet. We'll have to see what happens.
Okay, because it's going to be
We
interesting.
are actually developing our new engines with AMG.
Oh, they know how to do that well too. Yeah.
They do, yeah. This engine, however, is a bespoke Aston Martin engine. So this is our first turbocharged engine ever in the history of the company as
Right.
well.
Get to the fuel economy you need.
Exactly.
Now,
Absolutely.
so we're driving in the city, and we're not going to do anything outlandish with this car because the weather is so crap today.
Yep.
Now, what do you have for changing the settings of the car? Excuse me, the transmission, the suspension.
Okay.
Is it adaptive?
It is adaptive. Well, the suspension that we run right now is adaptive. So we're in a GT setting, which is the most comfortable, compliant setting. And the way
I could easily drive this to work.
It's very comfortable, isn't it?
Do conference calls
Yep.
on the Bluetooth, away you go, right?
Absolutely. And the adaptive system's constantly monitoring the road, it's monitoring the way you drive the car, and in the GT mode, it's going to make it always as comfortable as possible.
So
And
what's the platform? This is an aluminum car, I'm guessing, right?
It is. It's
Any
a
carbon in here?
full aluminum chassis. It's all bonded. There's no welding, so there's no distortion. And the bonding is lighter as well. In fact, that's the only robot in our factory.
Is it James Bonded?
That's his nickname, James Bonder.
That's funny.
In fact, he's called James Bonder. So
Okay,
funny that you mentioned that.
So you're at 4,000 cars. What are we wanting to double that in the next few years?
We need to be at least 6,000 cars to become a profitable company, yes.
Yeah, there's not much traction today.
No.
So 6,000 cars.
Bear in mind, too, that this car with the twin turbochargers produces 516 foot-pounds of torque at 1,500 RPM.
That's low.
All the way to red line.
Wow. And the horsepower?
600.
Right.
And that'll take you to a little over 200 miles an hour.
I see Mercedes-Benz switchgear in here.
Yes.
The turn signals, what
Yeah.
have you. You know what?
You have
Why not?
a keen eye.
And you've got the command controller here.
Exactly.
That's out of the Mercedes-Benz product.
Yep.
Yeah. Now who's the dude you're trying to get? Is
know,
it a young tech entrepreneur kind of?
and women too.
Right.
We
Oh, yeah.
don't sell enough cars to women, and yet everybody says we make the most beautiful cars in the world.
Yeah.
We are a design-led company first and foremost. We're not an engineer-led company.
I got a story for you.
Go on.
Where was I? I'm trying to remember what auto show it was. Geneva, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And I'm flying back to one of I think it was through London. Fellow there, he's got a Jaguar jacket on, and he's going. And they'd showed a new Jaguar of some kind, and I started talking to him, and I said, one of the problems that I find with Jaguar and Aston Martin when it was under Ford was that all the cars looked the same. Like the DB9 looked like a Jaguar. And he said to me, now I mean, he's talking out of school, but they weren't owned by the same company anymore, is that all of the engineering and the design that went into the DB9 was actually done for Jaguar. And then they switched the nameplate on it and sold it as a DB9 because that was where they needed to focus their attention on. Is there some truth to that?
I can't neither verify or deny that,
Right.
unfortunately, but I can tell you that the designer for Aston Martin back then, under the Ford ownership, was a gentleman by the name of Ian Callum.
Yes. And
when
now he's the head of Jaguar, yeah.
So he stayed with Jaguar when Aston Martin became independent again.
Right.
So,
now, but one of the Aston Martin fellows went to Tesla, right? The designer?
That I'm not sure of.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, because there is a bit of a similarity there.
Yes.
But you know, you look at Aston Martin cars, you look at the Ford, the XJs, and you look at even some of the Ford products, you know, they all had that similar
I
kind
think
of
that
look.
was Ian Callum's brother that penned some of the Ford.
Damn him!
similarity.
So what's the nut on this going to be? What's it going to cost?
Base price in US dollars is about $215,000.
You know what?
You're getting a handmade car. It takes about 6 weeks to build each of these Astons.
Now, do you think that young tech executive is more inclined to have a Tesla or to have a gas-guzzling V12 car?
You know, I've actually met a couple of clients who've gotten rid of their Teslas.
Yeah.
I call what Aston Martin provides Aston Martin Theatre.
Yeah.
Not only do you get the performance, but you get incredible, you know, textures of leather. You get beautiful scents. You get an amazing exhaust sound.
You get history.
You get history, and then you get all the acceleration, all the fun, and it's a daily driving car, and it could also be, you know, a competitive on some of the track stuff.
Yeah.
So we want to appeal to
You can't
somebody
have
that
everything.
drives the car
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think this is an executive, you know, young hotshot executive, beautiful girl. I'd trade you in for a beautiful brunette.
I wouldn't let you, of course.
Any day. But yeah, that works.
Yeah.
I need to come to California and carve some canyons in this car. I need your card.
The invitation is open.
Okay, good. I'll take you up on that. Be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. Well, it's been great. Whoop. Well, thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
It's a lot of fun.
It's all that talk.
It's all that torque. I tell you what, I need to do this again on a dry
We
day.
do.
Yeah,
But we need to take it to a track.
Absolutely. Okay.
Open it
Sign
up
me
a
up.
little bit, yeah.
I won't say no to that.
Well, it's great meeting you.